What's going on, everybody? Ghost 4H Delta X-Ray Studios. Today I want to show you how to get a normal map and an ambient occlusion map using Blender. We're actually going to be using what is called a height map. Normally it's you take a texture into Photoshop or you take a texture into GIMP and you grayscale it and you adjust brightness and contrast on it until you have basically just a complete black and white image. In the height maps, white would be your highest point of I guess, elevation, and then black would be the lowest point of elevation. And that kind of explaining the height maps a little bit there. So what we're going to do is we're going to Shift A here, okay, and we're going to add a plane in, Shift A once again, and we'll add a second plane. We're going to do, if you do not have this, the sidebar on the left-hand side, press T to bring it up. T to bring it up and close it down. So make sure we have the bottom plane selected, tab in, W, subdivide smooth. Number of cuts, we want to up it to 100. Tab back in object mode. In the modifier tab, we're going to drop the modifiers down. We're going to go to subdivision surface. And you could use 2. I use 3 just to give it a little more vertices and just hopefully make it a little, hopefully make my normal map just seem a little, I don't know, a little more fluent, I guess. So anyway, so subdivision surface, either you could do 2 or 3 on the views in the render. I went with 3 and I applied it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to select Displacement in the modifier tab. And we're going to select, in the modifier tab here, you got texture, select new. And on the far right, you'll see like an F plus X. And then you'll see like these little bars that says show texture and texture tab. Select on that and open your textures. I'm going to my desktop here. Now I've already kind of made these made some normal maps for what I'm about to show you, but I just kind of this is for your learning experience, not so much mine. So anyway, I'm going to select my height map. You can see my plane is like really kind of jagged, distorted, whatever you want to call it. If you go back to the modifier tab, in the strength, go to 0.005. And that's normally 0.005 is a pretty good starting point. You can see everything flattened out. We have a little bit of creases and crevices, not a whole lot. 0.01, kind of come up a little bit. 0.05. Okay, we're a little bit too much now. So let's 0.035. Yeah, a little bit too much. 0.025. That's not looking too bad. That's not too bad at all. So you can see we've actually displaced this. Now, this is actually one way you could use this. Like if you're just modeling for Blender and you got a strong graphics card, I guess that can render really fast. I wouldn't recommend trying to actually do a displacement like this and put like a bunch of walls or a bunch of wood flooring in, looking like this, because I mean, look, like our Tris right now is sitting at 1.3 million. And if I would just try to render that, I mean, I'm running a 1066 gig. And okay, so I mean, it only took about 5 seconds to render that. But still, once you start adding in all kinds of stuff, you start adding in a bunch of other objects, that render time is probably really going to skyrocket. But so anyway, we got it all displaced. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to tab over on the second plane. And we're going to hit U and UV Unwrap. Just UV Unwrap it. Tab back out. I'm going to grab up here in the upper right hand corner. And I'm going to drag to the left. You can see I'm splitting the screen. I'm going to hit T to close the sidebars. Down in the bottom corner here, we're actually going to change from 3D view. We're actually going to change to this UV image editor. And we're going to click New. And name it whatever your texture is. So mine would be like wood floor normal. And right here you got width and height. I always put mine 2048. So 2048. And for the next one 2048. It's basically like 2K. And hit enter. So now if I come to here, now you can see I created a new material, and when I tabbed over on the second plane, that new material is not on the plane. So what I want to do is in this browse images to be linked, go ahead, pull that up and look for the normal, look for the image texture that you just created. So now we got both of those. Go ahead, select the first one that has the displacement, select the second one, second plane, and then we are going to go over to the render view, hit A. I'm going to hit A to close all these down real quick. Open up Bake, and in Bake, make sure you have selected to active. Make sure you have that selected, and in Bake mode, instead of full render, change it to normals. And basically, all we're going to do is we're going to hit Bake, and right here you'll see, we'll start getting our normal map. It may take a few seconds. Okay, there it goes. Taking a few seconds. So there's our normal map. So now once you have your normal map, there's multiple ways to do this. I tried using GIMP's way of, I tried using GIMP to generate my normal map, and it just gave me a solid sheet of blue and purple. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I came back to Blender, and I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure there's a way to learn how to do normal maps in Blender, and I actually figured out how to do it. I needed some help from a few people, but they were like, yeah, you could do it. Just go into your Bake, and it should be right there in your drop-down menu. And I found it, and they just kind of guided me through a little bit more on it, and I was like, oh, okay. So this is, I've known how to do this for a while, so I figured, you know what, I'll show you guys how to do it. But so anyway, so here's our normal map. After our normal map is created, you can go down to Images, and you can go to Save As Image. And when you save as image, just save it in the folder that you want it to be in. So that was normal maps. Now for your ambient occlusion, it's just it's 2 steps down, and we'll bake once again. And here comes our ambient occlusion. Like I said, it does take a few seconds to get going when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I always found that ambient occlusion, baking those always took longer than baking normal maps. And honestly, I'm kind of curious on this. I want to see if I increase the strength on the displacement, if I will get something kind of like a height map. So let me select this real quick. It's something I just kind of thought about. I was like, well, let's try that. So if I just say if I did, not 1, oh geez, 0.1. Okay, that's. Oh, geez, that's pretty intense. Let's see what that would look like. Let's see what would happen if our displacement was too jagged and we tried to get a normal map out of that. So normal map. Let's try to get a normal map out of that real jagged displacement. Wow. Very detailed, but I guess the more, you got different colors in there. You can kind of see some light blue and stuff like that. You don't want, I personally don't make my normal maps. I don't make them too, I don't want to say detailed, but what I have here on the right hand side is way more than what I would want to use. Because whenever I would put this into Unity, it would bump the crap out of it. And then you would have, you would basically just go into the normal maps on Unity, and you would just adjust the intensity. So I guess it really wouldn't be that bad, but I would rather almost like a plug and play, like plug it in. Oh, that looks great. Leave it at 1 and move to the next, move to the next thing. But now, so that was normal. So if we did ambient occlusion with it displaced that pretty good like that, let's see what that would look like. That might take a while to render. That might, 25, 30 seconds maybe. This is really slow. Jeez, my grandma moves faster than this. Feels like it's taking a while. Okay. Okay, guys, it's almost there. It's getting there. Okay. Okay, then. So actually, it didn't turn out too bad with it bumped up a lot more. Um, it's actually something I may actually I may actually try in the game engine. But anyway, that's how you make a normal and a ambient occlusion map inside of Blender. So just create two planes. On the bottom plane, subdivide smooth. Put the number of cuts to 100. Subdivision surface on the first plane. Set the render and the view to 2 or 3, and then hit apply. Go into displace and basically put your height map on it. And then for the second plane, basically UV unwrap it, and then create a new material in the UV editor and name it whatever your texture is. And then select the bottom. Make sure you select the bottom plane first and then the top one. And then go into the render tab all the way at the bottom under bake. Make sure you have selected to active on. In bake mode, you'll see a thing called bake mode. Turn it. Make sure you put it on a normal or ambient occlusion. And this will. I found out that this really doesn't work if you're in Cycles Render. So definitely make sure you're in Blender Render before you do this. I hope I said that in the beginning before I had you guys watch this whole fucking video. Oh shit. So if you watch this whole video and I did not mention anything about Blender Render, I am absolutely sorry about that. So make sure you're in Blender Render and go back and just kind of repeat the process. So, alright guys, I hope that helped you out. I tried to keep the video short and straight to the point like always. So, like I've said in the other videos, drop a like. The same for me. This is, to help other people out and, just indie developers. It's to help us all out and for us to all learn basically all of us learning as a group. We're all learning as a team. And maybe one day one of us will create a really badass game that will stomp the AAA companies, stomp their ass a little bit. So, till next time, guys, have fun. I hope this helped.